This is Allison with Let's Go Travel Tips. Today is Monday. It's July 18th of 2022, and we've got a lot we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about the pros and cons of using Princess Easy Air, as well as any of the airline ticket services that any of the cruise lines do, as well as what the pros and the cons of that, some things to think about with booking your flights right now, as well as what's going on with COVID right now. And there is so much to talk about all of this, and I think it is really important that you stick with me and pay attention, because we've got experiences of people here and so much going on that I think will be really helpful, whether you're planning to cruise now, if you're taking a flight anywhere for anything, as well as thinking of some other methods of travel that might turn out to be helpful in the long run. So first of all, I want to start off with a story that I saw this morning in Business Insider, and it kind of sums up everything that we need to talk about, and it is about how a family of four missed a long-awaited Disney cruise after Air Canada canceled their flight, and so then they were joining hundreds of passengers that had their vacation plans foiled by summer chaos. And so basically what happened is this family was trying to travel. They went from Baltimore to Toronto, and then their flight was supposed to go from Toronto to Vancouver. Toronto to Vancouver was canceled, and they ended up being in the airport for like 3 days trying to get other flights to be able to go, and it didn't work, and so finally they made it back home again. So the main things that they were talking about was that they didn't like, of course, that they missed their cruise, which of course who would want to do that they had to sleep on benches in the airport overnight, and then their daughter tested positive for COVID in the emergency room a few days later, is what her dad told everyone. And so the bottom line here is a few things. First of all, last week I was telling you about how many flights are being canceled going into Heathrow. The week before, I told you that Air Canada is canceling so many of their flights right now. And you know what? This is happening everywhere around the world. It's not just at Heathrow. It's not just in Canada. There are so many canceled flights in the United States, in Canada, all over Europe. Right before I did this video, before I started here, one of our Let's Go family members said that they had flown to Paris in order to catch the Regal Princess. They were planning to catch her in Barcelona, but then their flight that was from Paris to Barcelona was canceled, and so they missed their cruise. Now, I don't know, they didn't say if they followed up and went ahead and were able to get to the next port to get on the Regal Princess. They didn't mention that, but I wanted you to all be very aware that cancellations are truly happening everywhere, and it seems like, of course, some flights go on time and some flights don't. And so always think in your mind some really good options, and we will go over those in a minute. The other thing that I wanted to make you aware of is if you are traveling right now, the number of cancellations that they have, the passengers that are left from those cancellations far exceed the number of hotel rooms that they have got available for the airlines to give you a voucher for. I've read stories on that as well. There is this huge crunch for these, even the huge airports that have so many hotels close by. There is not enough hotel rooms to go around, and so be aware of that. And then finally, COVID is going around like crazy right now, if anybody wasn't aware of that. So those are the kind of things that you've got to consider if you are going to book a flight right now, whether you're going to book a flight to go on a cruise, if you're going to travel somewhere else for vacation, or if you're just going somewhere to visit family. All of these things, those three things, I think, are things that you're going to have to really be aware of. The cancellations, the fact that you might have to sleep on the bench in the airport if you're lucky enough to get a bench, or also the thing about there is so much COVID going around. So let me go ahead and kind of talk about those in order. So first of all, we hear of so many canceled flights going on, and there are different ways to manage your flights. So let's talk about the pros of using a flight service with a cruise line. Like Princess's is called Easy Air, and I know Holland America is Easy Flight, I believe. And so, but all of the cruise lines have these, and there are a few really good things about using them. Usually the fare is much cheaper. I am hearing from that from people who are looking at booking Europe next year or even other destinations. airlines, usually those are cheaper. Did you guys know that Carnival Corporation is the largest issuer of tickets in the world because of how many flights they do with Princess Easy Air for their passengers, for their crew? And Carnival Corporation, I mean the corporation that includes all of those cruise lines, and as well as what they do for their crew members. They are the largest issuer of tickets, if you can believe it. So clearly you're going to get a better price going through someone like that. And so that is one of the really good perks. And sometimes the difference in price is a little bit, and sometimes it's a couple of $1,000s. So it can be an awful lot. And so that is one of the perks. Another perk that comes with that is if your flight is canceled, they'll help you reschedule it. Now, right now, I think that everybody is just inundated. Nobody has enough employees, and then you have so much more flights being canceled. So many more than is usual. Usually we have some canceled flights here and there, especially if there's some bad weather, but this is unprecedented. What is happening right now is literally a result from having the pandemic, and the world is trying to catch up, but it is really, really hard. And so there are more canceled flights now than ever before. Everyone is understaffed, and so you're not going to get rescheduled as quickly as you might hope. And that kind of goes through like trying to call. If you're calling during regular business hours, it is really hard to get through. You're going to have some long hold times. And so anyway, be aware of that, but at the same time, they'll eventually reschedule you, or you can submit to them to get your money back that you have paid for a ticket if you end up having to reschedule yourself. Okay. And then the other thing that I just love about using Princess Easy Air is two things I actually love. Number one, if you are late, if your flight is delayed and you get there, they'll help you get to the next cruise port so that you can catch your cruise. So you don't have to completely miss it if you're late getting there. They'll help you get to the next place. The other thing is right now, it used to be that you could not use your future cruise credits to book Princess Easy Air flights, and now you can. They made that change. It's been a few months ago now that they have really loosened up what they will allow you to use your future cruise credits on, and flights with Princess Easy Air is one of them. So like Gordon and I still have some future cruise credits left over after we just did full payment for our Love Boat cruise at the end of October. And so we were like, well, what are we going to use those on? And we can use them on flights if we want. We haven't quite decided what to do. It happens. It's a short flight for us, just Salt Lake City to Los Angeles, and the flights between us, just booking them with Delta and just booking them with Princess Easy Air, they are very close. Not really a difference. And so we haven't quite decided what we're going to do. But that is a really nice perk. That is a good way to use money that you have already paid and be able to take care of your flights that way. I love that. And so I would say that those are the main pros. You can also, when you book your tickets, you can either do the flexible fare or the restricted fare. So if you do the restricted fare, you're locked in, like when you book it and you choose that. But if you do the flexible fare, you can watch the fares up to 45 days before you fly. And if there are any changes, if they get cheaper, you can go ahead and rebook, and they will give you the lower price. If the fare goes up, you're just lucky that you already had locked in that lower price. And if you decide you want to go a day earlier, they are flexible with you like that. So that is another really nice perk of booking with Princess Easy Air. Now, I think that we are pretty up to date on what the cons are, though. Like I said, if you are traveling somewhere and your flight gets canceled, you're going to have to try to get a hold of them to find out where they're rebooking you, what is happening with that. I would say you should keep an eye on your Princess Cruise Planner in case they rebook anything and haven't called you to tell you that. But if you, so you have to log into princess.com in order to be able to do that. But be aware that otherwise you've got to call them and see where they are rerouting you through, and that might take some time in order to get through. That is one of the things. Another thing is the whole situation that happened when Gordon and I just went to Europe, and basically they didn't ticket the tickets in time, so of course the airline canceled them, and then they wouldn't get back the flights that we had. It was this whole big thing. And if you want to know about that a little bit more, well, I'll just tell you. So then they put us on American, because I don't have just one video about it. They put us on American. Between baggage fees and paying for seats, we were going to be at $900 just to get home. So it was really the hand of the Lord. We called, and the Princess rep put us back on the flights that we have. But I know that that was expensive for Princess to buy those flights the day before we were flying, which is when they would actually talk talk to us about it. So as far as being in charge of your own tickets right now, when everything is getting canceled and moved around, I think that there is a lot to be said for that. At the same time, if you are someone that doesn't really want to have to manage your tickets, you want them to rebook it for you, absolutely book with Princess Easy Air or whatever cruise line you're going to sail on. I think that that is a wonderful service they do for you. They will help you with that. And so just kind of keep that in mind. So when we're looking at all of these situations that are going on with flights right now, kind of look wherever it is that you're going and see if there's another way for you to get somewhere. Flying from Toronto to Vancouver, that's a hard thing to think of how else you're going to get there. If you are going to go from Paris to Barcelona, like I would be looking for a train. But at the same time, it depends on what time your flight was canceled, how soon they told you weren't going to be able to get another one picked up. There's just so much that goes into that. But just kind of be thinking in your mind what some of the options are. Another thing I would say is if you are someone that you're going to fall apart if your flight gets canceled, you might want to think about flying in another time or cruising another time or picking somewhere that you can drive to go on a cruise or picking somewhere for your vacation that you can drive to. And I know that's not always the solution we're looking for, but sometimes if it's not in your personality to have your flight canceled and deal with all that and you don't want to have to do that, then I would say maybe hold off. I am really hopeful. I would hope by this time next year when the big travel surge comes, when summertime starts, that we are past this big problem. But you know what? You never know. We don't know what the future brings. And so that's why we went ahead and went on our trip this year. But go ahead and just kind of think about things like that. Decide where you are. The other really big thing that goes with this is the fact of what's going on with COVID right now. So I had someone post, I read it, it was in our Facebook group. Someone posted that they don't think that the Crown Princess is really reporting what's going on with COVID on that ship. And I wanted to tell you very respectfully that they are reporting. All of the cruise lines, the major cruise lines here in the United States, have opted into the CDC's program that they are participating in. And part of the requirement of that is they have to tell how many people on the ship have COVID. That's required, and they do that. I am certain of it. Now, if you go look at that color chart that has to do with all of the different ships and what color they are based on how many cases of COVID they've got on their ship, I looked this morning and they are all orange. Everybody's orange. Everybody has some COVID on it. So be aware of that. The cruise lines, the cruise ships are having to report on that. Now, I do hear of a lot of people who, once they get home, I get messages, comments, emails from people who test positive. And I have two schools of thought on that. One is you can test positive once you get home. You weren't positive on the ship, but then you get home, you start not feeling good, and you test. So there's that going on. So that doesn't mean you necessarily got it there. I also think that, when you travel, a lot of times we fly. And you fly to where you're going on the cruise ship, you're there on the cruise ship, and then you fly to get home. I think that also there is a lot of people getting COVID on the flight home, as well as could have picked it up on the cruise ship. I really do think that. I think that if you get it on the cruise ship and then you get home and a week later, you're not feeling good, you have a higher chance that you caught it on the flight than on the cruise ship, just based on the number of days usually that it takes to test positive often. So kind of keep that in mind. But the cruise lines really are reporting that. Now, having said all that, if you are someone that getting COVID is going to be a deal breaker for you, definitely don't go on an airplane right now and don't go on a cruise ship. Just pick something else. COVID is going around so very much, though, that I think that, you can, like we've always said, you can get COVID going to the grocery store, going to church, going to Walmart, just going anywhere. You can pick up COVID doing that. But there is so much COVID going around right now that likelihood, I think, is very much increased. And so I think that, like all of these surges that we see, it goes up and it will come down and it will get better again. So hopefully that will get better again soon. But I just wanted to make you all aware that yes, the cruise lines are reporting, and yes, a lot of people are getting COVID, but I don't honestly think that all of it is just from a cruise ship. I know people that have traveled otherwise and they come home and they don't feel well. Now, I don't think Gordon and I got COVID on our cruise, but truthfully, we didn't test when we got home. I know that I did test negative, of course, to go on the Holland America cruise, and I have not tested since I've been home. I could be asymptomatic, of course, but I'm just not going to test every day to see if I have COVID, because I don't exactly think that that's a way to live. And so but just be aware that if that really bothers you, you might want to hold off for just a minute on your cruise. But like I said, hopefully things will get better sooner than later. Now, the next thing that I want to let you all know about is just on and I'm sorry to talk to you about that. I think it's just a lot to think about. I want to hear any suggestions that you all have for anything to do with traveling right now, with flights, with COVID, just anything. If you have got any wonderful like tips or tricks for anyone, if you've got experiences to share, we would really like to hear from you, because I think it is a very, very important conversation, because I think it's going to be with us for quite a long time. Now, we were fortunate enough to have a Let's Go family member who usually sails with Princess, and they decided to take a Royal Caribbean cruise. So they went on Quantum of the Seas, and they were so kind to send me an update and just kind of give us an idea of how the two compared just a little bit. And I really appreciate it, because it's fun to hear from someone that usually sails on one cruise line, kind of what they thought about another cruise line. And so first of all, they, like I said, went on Ovation of the Seas. If you're not familiar, she is the one sailing up in Alaska this year out of Seattle. And so they were able to drive. They lived close enough. They were able to drive it to the port. They just parked at the Seattle cruise parking area there that they've got. And they took the, they said it's a valet parking system, and it is very well organized. Once they loaded the bags into the shuttle, they were to the ship in only like 5 minutes. It was really quick. It was their very first, like I said, Royal Caribbean cruise, so there were no perks. They didn't have status to get on the ship early or anything. But so they went through a very long line of security and check-in. So they were on the ship in their cabin in about an hour from when they got off the shuttle. Okay, you don't get the room key, which, I didn't think to tell you guys this. You don't get the room key at check-in, and the same is true of Holland America. You just know what your cabin number is and go there, and then in an envelope tucked in the little thing where they tuck your little, paper announcements they put in, it's right in there tucked in an envelope. So that's how you get your key on Holland America as well. And so you get that, and their room was ready at about 1 p.m. She said that they heard a rumor that there was about 3,500 people on board, which is not completely full, but it was very busy. They had an ocean view cabin on the 3rd floor, which is the lowest deck. And so they said about 9 p.m. the first night, they got a call from customer service and asked them if they would like an upgraded room. And so they, sure enough, they took them right up, and they got to be upgraded to a balcony on the 11th floor. I thought it was very sweet. She put that maybe they did that because they knew that they had good status with Princess. But and I don't really know that the other cruise lines look that up and tie it together. If any of you know, I would like to know about that. But anyway, she said that the room was lovely. It was spacious. There were some electrical outlets as well as those little USB outlets, which I think is great. Righty. And then she also said that room service, the continental breakfast, was free. Like, I think it's pretty standard. People can order room service for breakfast from the little set menu. But if you want room service any other time, there is a $7.95 surcharge to go with that. I know on Princess it's always free unless you're ordering pizza. I think it's because the pizza is so easy to get yourself up on the pool deck if you want just a quick piece of pizza. They did purchase the Wi-Fi plus streaming package, and she said it was really good, she has to say, which makes me really excited to try Royal Caribbean, because Princess's internet has just been abysmal lately. It's not been very good at all, so that was great. She said the activities are nonstop. shop. It's a great ship for families and kids of all ages. She said that them, which is the two of them cruising alone, they're retired, they found it a little bit noisy. One thing they found strange was that most of the places that you could sit had really low chairs, so it was a little bit harder to get out of, being a little bit older, and so that would be a consideration. She said the dining rooms are lovely and the service was top notch. The food they found hit or miss, and often the menu lacked variety. They went to 2 of the nightly entertainment shows and both were very good. Very few people were wearing masks, but they did say that they didn't end up taking any excursions because that they have been to Alaska so many times, but they got to go to Sitka, and quite a few, they did hear quite a few complaints for people about their excursions being cut short due to the slow, busy schedule of the shuttle buses in Sitka. She said disembarkation went really well. They had a scheduled time of 8:15. They exited the ship, picked up the luggage, went through security, hopped on the waiting shuttle, and were in their car on the road back home by 8:40. So you can't beat that. So I just wanted to share this with you. It does make me really excited to try Royal Caribbean sometime, and I really appreciate you, Joy. Thank you, because that helps us all have a little bit of a comparison in our mind and what's going on. The last thing that I wanted to make sure that I tell you all about is a little bit more about Canada's testing, that random testing that they are starting to do again tomorrow, July 19th, for people who are flying in to Canada. So basically, as I mentioned last week, they are bringing back their random testing. So if you fly in, you will go through customs, and within 15 minutes, you will receive an email saying that you are randomly selected to be tested. Now, as I have done my research, and I really appreciate, one of our Let's Go family members asked me a question about it, which made me go read through a lot of protocols, like all of their information that they had about it. And I appreciate her also for posting again, because I was starting to think, oh, maybe this won't bother our cruisers, and she posted that she thought the same thing. So in their information, they say that that applies for people, does not apply for people who are passing through Canada, and they listed to a cruise in Alaska as one of the reasons that you would not be selected to be tested. So I wanted to tell you that, and along with that, I would love to hear from any of you who are, flying into Vancouver to depart on a cruise, and if you do get selected, let us know, or if you hear of anyone, and kind of get the word out, if you wouldn't mind, about our channel, because the more we get, the more experiences we will have to share here, and so I really appreciate your doing that. If you haven't subscribed yet, we would just love it if you would subscribe. Today is extra special. Today being July 18th, it is 1 year ago today that I posted my very first video here on our channel. Gordon had posted a few scenery ones before that, just doing what he likes to do, but it was a year ago today that we started our Let's Go family, and we are so grateful to all of you for joining us, for being here with me every day. I try really hard to bring you really valuable information every day, and I really appreciate everything that you all share with us, your experience on ships, just everything. And I want you to know how welcome you all are here, that this is a very safe place to be. You can put your comments. We appreciate hearing your experience. And I do only put up with kindness, though. You should know that about me. That's just me. But anyway, thank you all for very much for being here with us on this journey. Thanks for everything that you bring, and we look forward to so many more. We have grand goals for our channel. Maybe by next year, this time we'll be to 100,000 subscribers. I don't know, but we're sure going to try. So I hope you'll all come with us. So be sure to join us for our live this evening, where we will be talking to you a little bit more, looking back over the last year, talking about all of the fun things and answering all of your questions. Bring your questions and come and join here with us tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern. We'll see you all then. If you appreciate these videos, would you please give this one a thumbs up? I'll be talking to you all again really soon. You all take really good care. God bless you. Love you. Bye-bye.